After months of planning and construction, the Urbana Park District was ready to make a splash with the grand opening of the Crystal Lake Park Family Aquatic Center. Community members gathered on Saturday, June 29th for a celebration that included guided tours of the facility.
I want to thank all of our construction teams here. First, Ratio Architects. People from Ratio Architects, raise your hand. Burns Clancy and Associates, raise your hand. Anybody from Councilman Hunsacker, right down here? These are the guys down here working, the guys from Councilman Hunsacker. Woohoo! Raise your hand, Joe. Now, we asked them to keep on working today because, you know, we really want to get in there and go swimming. And a couple of other folks to thank from our construction crew. We've had a whole lot of people working on this. Did I forget anybody from construction? Brown Russo, who is our contractor. And Brown Russo is a Champaign firm. They've just done a wonderful job in getting this construction project off and going. And Westport Pools, okay, Joe's not from Councilman Hunsacker. Councilman Hunsacker is the pool engineer, but Joe's from Westport Pool, and those guys down there are all from Westport Pool. Including the guy down there cleaning the pool, okay? And so now what I'd like to do is introduce a Vice President of the Board of Park Commissioners, Nancy Delcomen.
Good morning. This is so exciting. I can barely stand it. I want to welcome all of you here. I'm the Vice President of the board, but I want to recognize the other board members are here. The President of the board is out of the country, which is the only reason I get to hold the microphone. But our other board members, we have Deb Rugg, Meredith Blumthal, and Bob Stewart, if he's here. Is he? Wherever he is. Anyway, but you know, we're just the sort of say aye and pass it on. You know, we're just the sort of pass-through group. And there's a lot of people we want to thank. And my first job is to thank the money people. So I see Naomi Jacobson here. I didn't see Mike Frericks, but the two of them helped us get a $400,000 grant from OSLAD, which is, I got to read this right, Open Space Land Acquisition, yes. So the state of Illinois doesn't always come through for us, but in this instance it did. And then we have a lot of local people who stepped up above and beyond, paying their taxes like we all do. And these are the people I wanted to mention specifically. Ruth Weinard, Millie Barnett, who was an UPDAC member in the old days with me, the family of Ruth Miller, Donald and Elizabeth Greeley, Stan Summers, whom I don't see here, but I wanted especially to mention Stan because that competition pool down there might only have had 6 lanes, but Stan insisted. I mean, there would have been 16 lanes. Stan had his way. We kind of had to rein him in, but Stan really had a big impact on this, and I do want to thank him. Ed and Carol Charlo, Anna Merritt, Lou and Susan Hopkins, who I think are particularly responsible for money for this fabulous climbing wall, the 4th only in the U.S., and Mary Moore. Now, this was a process. I was just talking to Marty over here. In 1998, UPDAC, the Park District's Advisory Committee, started looking at a new pool. Now, that was quite a while ago. And UPDAC has played a huge part in this. But not just UPDAC. There are a huge number of citizens who helped us get the referendum going, get the referendum passed. So a special thanks to all of you who helped with the referendum. And of course, a bigger thanks to those of you who voted yes, so we had the money to build this pool. So once we had the money, yes, hooray for everybody. Okay, so now we've got the money. What are we going to build? We talked to the public. You came out and told us what you wanted to see, what you didn't want to see. Now, I will say that the kid who suggested a slide that turned you into a hamster on the way down and then turned you back into a human on the way out, we did not get in. But a lot of other things that are in this pool are because of suggestions from the community. And I want to give a special thanks to UPDAC because they asked us hard questions. They asked us hard questions in getting the referendum done, and they asked us hard questions in how things were going to work at the pool. So Martin, I saw you someplace. Martin Srajak was, he is a former chairman of UPDAC. He has finished his third year on UPDAC, and we have a new chairman. But he was a person who was of a great benefit to us and helped us a great deal with UPDAC and all of the things that went on. And he's going to talk a little bit about their input into what happened.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good morning. I'm Martin Srajak. I, like Nancy just said, was on UPDAC for 3 years. Finished the last year being the chair of the committee and learned a lot from being on that committee. There's an old book written by the sociologist Robert Bellah. It's called Habits of the Heart. And in that book, Bellah describes how community works. It really describes how the different entities, the citizens, the government and other bodies work together to figure out how they can live as a community. And growing up in Germany, I really had a very different idea of how this can work, how something like a pool comes together. And being on UPDAC, I really learned how citizens, how volunteers, and officials and employees of the government and the community can work together to bring something like this into being. It was a wonderful experience. Everyone on UPDAC was a representative of a neighborhood in Urbana. And as a representative, they, of course, were representing the neighborhood, but they also were a link back to that neighborhood. And so every time we met, once a month, we actually talked about more insights, more things that we had heard from the community about what this pool should look like. A very dynamic process, in other words. And we had many, many discussions about things, changed things around, new ideas, had, of course, to eliminate some things. And always, and this is the other part, in connection with Urbana Park District staff, who were incredibly helpful also in helping us learn more about how this works, how the structure works, how we can have an impact. UPDAC members were part of most of the process, part of the design. They were part of the stakeholders committee that looked at design questions. They were part of a group of people that went to other areas in Illinois to look at pools and get new ideas. They, of course, went to public meetings, and they really helped advocate for the referendum that we needed to actually finance this pool. I was very glad to serve the committee, and I'm incredibly happy that in this way I could be a part of this community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Martin. Now I'm going to introduce a friend of the Park District. He's been a long-time friend of the Park District. He's a product of the University of Illinois Parks and Recreation graduate program. We're so excited. And he did his internship right here with the Urbana Park District. And he's been our friend and has helped us a whole lot with this process. I'd like to introduce Tony Clemens.
Thank you. You know, on every project like this, I think there's a moment of epiphany when you decide, yeah, this is what we need to do. When I was at the university, we ran the ice arena, and in 1984, we were thinking about whether we should make improvements in that facility, and we had a problem with a compressor one day, and I called up the guy running the ice arena and said, what's wrong? And he told me, and I said, well, we call the company that made that and have them fix it. And he said, because they've been out of business since 1952. I guess we needed to do something. My epiphany on this facility became about 3 weeks after I retired. I was sitting at a meeting, town hall meeting at the Nature Center. The staff had briefed me on all the issues, the antiquated locker rooms, the need to improve plumbing and electrical, the lack of some neat elements like we have out there. I thought I knew it all. And during the meeting, a gentleman said, able to get that stone to remove the fungus off the bottom of the pool. I go, fungus off the bottom of the pool? And then someone said, can they fix it up? And my thought was, fix it up, don't you mean blow it up? Well, they've actually done both of those things, as you can see today. They blew it up and they fixed it up. And when I was a kid, I lived in North Carolina. I came here every summer to visit my grandparents. They lived on the north end in Champaign. I would get with my buddies and we would walk over here to Crystal Lake Pool. We would then spend about 2 or 3 hours doing something in the pool. I have no idea what we were doing. But it was, it was one of those great things that we did, and then we would head down Ray Street to University, stop off at the A&W root beer stand, buy a root beer, sit on a bench, and wait on the bus. And after about 15 minutes, we realized we can't really catch the bus because we spent our bus money on the root beer. So then we walked all the way back to the north end. But coming to the pool then and now was more than just about water. It was about being with the guys, seeing the girls, learning new skills, having new adventures. We even got fun out of getting in trouble with the lifeguard, running on the deck. Wouldn't it be great at the end of your life, the worst crime you committed was running on the deck? We did all of that. And we found out through that experience that a pool is essential, at least to a little kid, to really having a community. You don't have a community till you have a swimming pool. Today, Urbana has back one of its iconic emblems, this facility right here today.
The Crystal Lake Park Family Aquatic Center boasts 3 separate pools, multiple water slides, and a climbing wall, among other countless amenities. For more information on the Aquatic Center and other programs and facilities provided by the Urbana Park District, visit urbanaparks.org.